And we're going to start a record in 1, 2, and 3.
Greetings 2023 and welcome to your Miting de Avance. I'm Kenneth Tapada from Ang Lagablab.
And I am Rihanna Ofilada from the Science Scholars, and we will be your hosts for today. Before we proceed to the introduction of candidates and plans of action, here are a few reminders.
Please remain respectful throughout the program. Avoid taking unnecessary actions and actions that may distract the candidates and other audience members.
If you have any questions for the candidates, kindly send them in the chat with the format open bracket party/position closed bracket question. The flow of the meeting de avance is as follows: introduction of hosts, plans of action, candidate Q&A, and open forum.
Without further ado, let us proceed to the introduction of candidates and each party's plan of action. Each party will be given 5 minutes to introduce its members and state their general plan of action. Statement over the time limit will be cut off, so please use your time wisely.
11-8, the floor is yours. Your time starts now.
5, 6, 11, 8. Hi everyone, so I'm Meg from 11-8, running for president. So first, let's talk about our plans for communication. It has been really hard to communicate with both the students and the parents, which is why we have planned some ways to have better communication with both of them. An insights form will be made where students can put whatever concerns, feedback, and suggestions they have in mind. This way we can know how to make the school year better for everyone, and so your problems could be addressed. A quick summary on the responses and actions taken to address these will be placed in the quarterly reports to help update and provide transparency to the batch. Note this form will be open the whole year. Now as for the parents, a group chat will be made. This is where we can talk about general concerns and possible SIP and scale opportunities. We all know there's already a Discord channel dedicated to these. And if you haven't joined the batch Discord, here's the link. More important information would be sent through your emails.
This is why we will provide the provide and prepare end of quarter accounts reports to update the batch regarding concluded or pending projects, resolve concerns, and future plans. The quarterly report will come in the form of a document and a batch congress, otherwise known as BACON. BACON is both the council's and the batch's avenue to present updates and raise questions. Finally, minutes, financial reports, and other necessary documents can be readily checked and accessed by any person in the batch through the council drive.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kiona, running for secretary. I will be enumerating projects on awareness. Firstly, the Halalan 2022 information. The time to be critical in the transition from the Duterte regime to a new leadership is now. We plan to collaborate with Axis and Kilos in compiling and synthesizing information. That means not just limited to resources, but also a master list of elects and their platforms, because before we must take a stand, we must first be objective and careful in the information we absorb. As scholars ng bayan, even if we are not all legal voters yet, we must campaign for the elect who we believe in. Secondly, a batch directory. There are some things we are unaware of, such as Kandili services, guidance counseling unit services, etc. We want to build a landing page or Google Sheet containing all these pieces of information. Lastly, for me, the project I'm personally very excited about is the college fair. We want to collaborate with various organizations and invite alumni to talk about their experiences, provide a college list and their specialization courses, present diagrams on application process, and promote the guidance counseling unit service wherein the counselor helps students in considering their college. Through this project, we wish to break barriers that hinder us from the pursuit of college.
Hi guys, I'm Manila, running for batch treasurer, and I'm here to discuss the committees. Our party plans to form committees to help the batch in multiple ways and to provide more opportunities for them to lead as well. First off, the academic committee. The academic committee is a committee we'd like to continue as we saw that it has been effective for the past few years. However, we'd like to change it up a bit. We propose having two subcommittees, academics and extracurriculars. The academic subcommittee will be tasked to make mock exams to aid people studying for their periodic exams, while the extracurricular subcommittee will be assigned to assist the batch in finding scale and SIP opportunities, as well as to organize important information needed for college applications. Being part of either subcommittee is scalable. On the other hand, we also plan on starting to form the yearbook committee within our term. This way, they can plan ahead and have more time to gather the resources needed. We will consult the Batch 2022's yearbook committee on this to have a framework of the whole thing and to ensure that the process runs smoothly.
Hi, I am Maggie, and I'm running for auditor. One of the aspects that we plan to focus on is student welfare to promote mental health and inclusivity because we believe that having interactions and time to reflect are important for us students. Two programs that we plan to implement during our term are the Hangout sessions and the donation drives that you can see on the screen right now. We know that it is hard to interact given how we've adjusted in a reclusive state, but that doesn't mean interaction has lost its relevance. As for the donation drive, many are in need during these trying times, even our batchmates. That is why we would like to forward this cause through collaborations with the parents. Again, we are 11-8, taking leadership and service to the next level.
Thank you very much, 11th. Let's now proceed with a general plan of action of Kalachuchi. Your time starts now.
Hello, we are Kalachuchi and we believe na kayang lampasan together ang challenges na ito. With me, Rain Peña for President, Aaron Gavino for Vice President, Raisa Ang for Secretary, Joel Oribiana for Treasurer, and Ali Quintanilla for Auditor, we have three priorities in making Batch 2023 better this year. First, we start off with student wellness, both on the aspect of academics and mental health. Academic committees will be improved this year with our guidance. They will not only make reviewers, but also monitor the grade 11 matrix and make consultations available. Para ito lalo sa mga batchmates natin na mas willing mag-discuss sa kapwa students kesa sa teachers. We'll also coordinate with mental health services by promoting resources from GCU and Kandili through the batch platforms. More importantly, sit in sa GCU meetings and hold interest checks in the batch to make sure that activities being planned align with what the batch wants and needs.
We will also have bake cares. This will be the supplementary avenue for people like you to forward your concerns and suggestions on projects, hangouts, and more. Entries will be reviewed by us and discussed amongst ourselves and other parties that may concern. We also post weekly updates on how the batch is doing based on bake care so that you know your concerns are actively being listened to and that we are actively doing something to address them. Nonetheless, we'll still communicate with you through other ways. Our DMs are always open. Feel free to slide in. Secondly, Kalachuchi values batch connections. We may have all felt disconnected and demotivated at some point, so we'll be holding batch events, both small and large scale. We'll be having small casual hangouts in the batch Discord once or twice a month where we can, watch movies, play Gartic Phone, or Among Us. We know that this is not for everyone, but these are still opportunities for you to reach out to your own batchmates, and we think that's important in these trying times. Moreover, we have larger scale parties and large batch-wide events like the Christmas party where you can show your talents as a gamer or musician, and baka may premyo pa tayo.
Besides these events, our batchmates may also want to stay connected through extracurricular activities. When we get elected, we plan to play an active support role for the current and outgoing fair committee so that the fair committee's plans go as planned in December. On the other hand, we'll have more comprehensive process in determining the yearbook committee head and we'll be guiding them through the process of creating the yearbook and the yearbook committee. Thirdly, communication and transparency is our key to achieving all of these promises. We have a 4-layered approach to securing this. 1, gagawa kami ng master drive to ensure that information is made accessible and centralized. Dito rin namin ilalagay lahat ng resources for SIP, scale, college applications, and other services. Aside from this, we'll be making summary formats so that you don't have to read through large chunks of information to get only a few key points. 2, we'll be streamlining the use of 2023 Direct on Facebook and the use of the Batch Discord server. Aside from this, we plan to launch an official 2023 Batch Council Twitter account, given that most of our constituents are nowadays more active on Twitter.
3, we'll be coordinating with block reps kasi they have a more direct access to you. We'll talk with them regularly in a group chat to forward announcements and collect concerns or conduct sync meetings for block updates. 4, feedback systems. We want you guys to know that we are still here throughout the school year. We care about what you think. We plan to hold live council meetings that are not required in attendance so as to hear direct insights and concerns from the batch. The minutes of relevant council meetings, live or not, will be posted on platforms and the master drive.
Due to the many changes in the new school year, we want to hold a general checkup of the batch state by the end of the first quarter through Engage, the initial gauge survey. By becoming proactive in assessing any issues that you have encountered, we'll get to propose solutions agad. This is not our sole avenue for keeping up with the batch, and the aforementioned methods will still be promoted. Kalachuchi believes in the power of communicating with parties outside of the batch, so we are willing to collaborate with other councils, offices, PTC, and clubs such as Access. Some collaboration projects that we have thought of are Teachers Appreciation Month and Google Meet backgrounds where all members of the community can make use of the campus pictures as backgrounds on GV.
So, we've said a lot of things in the past few minutes, and not all of you may have listened. But what you have to take away from our introduction is that we, Kalachuchi Party, will do our best to make you heard, unified, and informed by prioritizing student wellness, connections, and communication. Cliches aside, we may be just 5 people, but together with you all, we can make student life better and see the Kalachuchis bloom again. Thank you for your time. Vote wisely. Vote
Vote
Kalachuchi.
Kalachuchi!
Yeah.
Yay!
Thank you, candidates. We will now proceed to the question and answer portion. Each candidate will be called up front and given 45 seconds to answer each question.
Each question will be given to the candidate 1 minute prior to answering. The candidates will answer in ascending order of their position and in alphabetical order of their parties.
We would like to request the audience to remain respectful throughout the portion. Again, if you have any questions for the candidates, please send them to the hosts.
We would now like to call the auditor of 11-8. How flexible do you think your projects are, given that there may be limited face-to-face classes this school year? How do you think the current setup will affect the direction of your projects? Your time starts now.
Oh, well, before we even made the GPOA, of course, we had to consider yung current setup namin ngayon. That's why I think most of our projects are really flexible and ina-accommodate nila yung situation na this is an online setup. So, yeah, I think I can, I believe that flexible naman yung projects namin. And, of course, along the way, we'll make adjustments in case na bigla na magka face-to-face or let's say na-extend yung online setup. That's my answer.
Thank you for that. Next would be the auditor of Kalachuchi. Which of your party's project will you prioritize this school year? What difficulties will you expect to encounter due to the pandemic, and how will you contribute to the batch council in addressing them? Your time starts now.
I think the most important thing we need to understand is that during this pandemic, a lot of us struggled to adjust and are still struggling to adjust right now. So I think the most important thing we need to prioritize are the master drives for SYP and SIP programs, because a lot of us don't even know what the hell what's even going on. So I think just having that information allows us to, reach out a lot more and to actually adjust a lot easier because these resources are far more accessible now. The difficulties we expect will probably be like student participation. But I believe that getting the batch trust is the first and most important thing we need to prioritize. And by ensuring that we're actively doing something that will help everyone in the batch, I think we can ensure that everyone's going to be willing and able to participate in our programs.
Sorry,
That's
your
all.
time's done. Thank you. Next would be the treasurer of 11-8. How will you select the beneficiaries for the next Christmas countdown project? How will you entice members of the community to participate in the said project? Your time starts now.
The beneficiaries of our Christmas countdown program will be the less fortunate. One of them is kunwari may isang family nagkasakit. What we want to do is sa maliit man na may ibigay namin kahit paano mabawasan yung burden nila na nararamdaman. And to uplift their spirit and to make them feel that someone cares. Yung isa pa ay ibibigay ito sa Pisay guards and janitors. Dito makikipag-coordinate kami with the PICORI since regularly naman sila nagbibigay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be the treasurer of Kalachuchi. What are your previous experiences in managing the budget of an organization or class? How will you apply what you have learned from these experiences as a batch treasurer? Your time starts now.
As a previous class treasurer in grade 8, I was able to have more experience on the ground and really interacting with the people on how to get their trust and also to know what their needs really are. And with that, I think I can bring the knowledge that I've gained from that experience to the batch by communicating well with both parents, teachers, and students, as well as making sure that all of the money is accounted for. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be the secretary of 11-8. Your party mentioned that you want to strengthen communication among the batch in order to accomplish your goals. How are you going to ensure that communication will be maximized in the projects your party wants to implement, considering the setting of the pandemic? Your time starts now.
Okay, the situation, the COVID-19 has actually given us the biggest risk that we have ever experienced. So to maximize this communication, first of all, that we must establish the feeling of care or initiative among us. So in order to reach out through forms, you have to first establish that you care about the batch, and the batch wants to be able to approach and have that feeling that they can approach you. And in terms of ensuring that communication will be maximized, so in the batch activities, we would like to, for these activities, not just to also provide avenue for those who have been holding back in expressing their creativity. Like we want it to also be an SIP scale opportunity, no matter how small scale
Sorry,
it may
but your
be.
time is
So,
over.
thank you.
Next would be the Secretary of Kalachuchi. With open communication being one of your priorities, it is possible that numerous issues will be brought up to your attention. How will you prioritize which issues will be resolved or worked on? Your time starts now.
So Kalachuchi aims to establish communication lines better among our batchmates. To start, we'll go into smaller group level communication systems. This can come in the form of block level and block rep communications, such as each of our members in the council communicating with each of the block reps for each of the 8 blocks in our batch. Another note, we can also use this opportunity to strengthen the communication systems through the 10 to 15 group batch TC hangouts. And through this way, we'll be able to build small but strong connections between the batchmates until we work our way up to a batch level wide communication system. Through this, we hope that communication systems will be better strengthened, and we'll start by starting small, but we'll start them really strongly so that.
Thank you. Next would be the Vice President of 11-8. As a previous batch president, what do you think is your biggest achievement in the previous school year? In addition, What do you think you could do better this year with your experience? Your time starts now.
So as a previous batch president from grade 10, I think the biggest achievement I've ever accomplished was I was able to contact a lot of teachers, students to make out the best plans for the entire batch. And this really helped out a lot during the Padayon events, the recollection, and all those get-togethers for the batch. So I believe that all of these experiences that I've gained so far from last year, I really think that we and my party can really do better in bringing out our new projects. And I really hope to support our current president, Meg David, and that, thank you.
Next would be the Vice President of Kalachuchi. If the elected president comes from the opposing party, do you think you can work with them well? Would you be willing to adapt to each other's program? And how will you reach a compromise with them? Your time starts now.
If ever na manalo yung president ng kabilang party, I think I would be able to work well with her and compromise. Bakit? Kasi lahat kami tumatakbo sa batch council have only one goal, to make the batch better. So how do we compromise? I-weigh namin, ano ba yung kailangan ng batch? Ano ba yung possible solutions? Kaya nga pinaprioritize namin sa GPOA yung communication kasi dapat malaman muna namin yung problem. Then we brainstorm, we find solutions. And from there, I think kahit from other party yung manalong president, we will be able to make the best solution for the match. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Next would be the president of 11-8. According to your general plan of action, one of your goals is to elevate every member of batch 2023. And one way to do this is to solve the problems arising in the batch. We also know that not all students participate in surveys because it is not a requirement for them. How can you encourage student participation in the activities you plan to do? Your time starts now.
Okay, so firstly, what we aim to do first is to actually gain this communication, trust, and all of that from the student body, because that's what really matters in leading and helping out their batch. So once we've gained that, it is more likely that they will be able to participate in surveys because now they're more trusting of us that will actually be able to do something for the batch and that will be able to actually solve these problems that they're having. And yeah, we'll always be there for the batch. That's what we want.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Lastly would be the president of Kalachuchi. Given your other extracurricular activities and organization, as well as heading different ongoing batch events, how would you manage the responsibilities of a batch president, especially during a pandemic? Your time starts now.
It always ties back to passion. Even before I started becoming a fair head or a class president, or even before I started Kalachuchi party, I contemplated with myself of my capabilities, of my time management skills, and I would have never even done any of these things if I wasn't confident enough in myself. Back then, I wasn't, but now I've found proper support systems to be there to maximize and magnify everything that I could push out of me, and that with that, I feel like I'm able to balance all of these responsibilities through my own ways and through the time that I can muster up and through the effort that I could give, especially if we're looking at helping the batch at the end of the day. Thank you.
Once again, thank you, candidates. We will now proceed to the last portion of Miting de Avance, which is the open forum. We will be asking questions gathered from the chat and those sent to the host.
Candidates, you have 1 minute to answer each question. Once again, if you have any questions for the candidates, kindly send them in the chat with the format open bracket, party/position, close bracket, and your question.
So we have one question. This can be answered by the president of both parties. If elected, what do you, as a leader, bring to the position that will promote growth in community during the pandemic?
Can I answer?
Go ahead.
Oh, you timer. Wait. Okay. So I think it's really my experience. I've become class president for 4 years already, and I've become a fair INTA-Fed. I've also become a student deputy for academics. So the way I've become a leader was honed through the years. It was very organic. It was through all of these experiences with Adelpha, Ruby, MG, and Tao. But more so in recent context, I've been like I've been coordinating with the SC Council last year, so I know how to navigate through online learning and distance learning as a leader. I know how to communicate well with the authorities, and that's really one of the key parts of becoming a leader in these times because that's how we'll only get any pragmatic changes. Thank you.
President of 11-8, would you like to answer as well?
Can I can I answer the previous question or?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So yeah so the previous years I've been part of the student body, and through this I was able to get to know these people, our batchmates a lot more, and also I was able to observe how the previous batch councils were able to actually address and make changes to these concerns that they have. And I believe that through these experiences, and all and all of the things that I've been accomplishing for the past few years, such as leading some batch activities and probably some group projects and class projects, I am now more than confident than before to actually step up and run for this position as president. And so, yeah. Thank
We have a question from Salver. This can be answered by everyone who wants to answer. How will you handle the confidentiality of the responses when you do surveys or check up with your batchmate? Again, how will you handle the confidentiality of the responses when you do surveys or checkups with your batchmates?
Can I answer this one?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. What timer? Okay, so confidentiality is a crucial aspect that we nowadays have to face given the issues of privacy in an online setting. So for confidentiality, we must ensure that we handle this sort of concern properly, given that our batchmates have to trust us in order for us to better serve them. So to handle confidentiality, of course, when we're forwarding the concern to parties that have to handle it, we'll have to make sure that the person who sent in the concern is comfortable with doing so, and that they understand that if they have to remain not anonymous in their submission to the external in the discussion of their concern to the external party, then we have to proceed in order to solve the problem. But if not, we as the batch council will do everything that we can in order for the concern to be addressed despite the cloak of confidentiality or anonymity. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a question for 11-8, and any position can answer. Given the perception of the batch council over the previous year as disconnected from the batch, what will be the first step to regaining the trust and enthusiasm of this disjoint batch, given that 3/5 of you are incumbents?
may I answer? Okay, so first step, we've stated in our GPOA that there will be batch activities and probably hangouts. And also there will be quarterly reports on what the batch council has been doing. So thanks to this, we'll probably be able to provide transparency to the batch so that they will be able to know what we are doing and accomplishing. And maybe through that, we will be able to gain trust, more trust from our batchmates. And yeah, that would be our first step to actually regaining that bond. And yeah, thank you.
Okay. This question is for vice president of any party. If all your goals as a party will fail, what's the one thing you want to achieve?
Hello, can I answer?
Yes.
First of all, bago namin gawin yung GPOA, we made sure na it's very feasible. So I think and I am confident na yung mga plans namin is very feasible and has a small chance of failing. But if it were to fail, I think na we will stick to the core values, no. In our GPOA, highlight namin yung communication, connection, and transparency. So in our we planned many events and many programs in order for us to achieve this. Pero yun nga, if it were to fail, I think we are capable enough to think of possible alternatives and solutions in order to achieve the main goal, which is for the batch to be more informed, unified, and heard. Thank you.
We have a test.
Could I also answer?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I forgot. Sorry. What's the? Oh, okay. I'm good with that.
The timer. So it's a pretty far-fetched thing to say that none of our goals would achieve in our term during the school year. But if they were not to succeed, though, I think we would really like as a party to accomplish is also, I agree with Aaron, our core values. It's really all about bringing the batch together into one and gaining the trust in order to bring transparency and feasibility out in our projects, that we may be better serve the batch, for the batch, and with each other. Thank you.
Teacher, can you make the test during 8 o'clock?
Okay, thank you. We have another question for 11-8. Any position can answer as well. One of the main aspects of your general plan of action is the donation drive that will take place in December. Is there a chance that this might have conflict with our batch fair, which will also take place in December and also has a fundraising aspect to it?
Yes. Can I answer it? Okay.
Okay.
The donation drive, sorry. Okay. The donation drive, of course, has the same also around December. But we have to consider that there are also some people who don't have their scale opportunity yet, and this will give them options also in the donation drive. Also, since I think that the donation drive and the fair may also have different beneficiaries. So I think both of them are not like, although they are different, they all have the same goal to help people, and they may have different beneficiaries. So we do not have to hold back, especially since there is a very capable fair committee, and there will also be very capable people who can handle the donation drive. So I don't think that there will be any conflict, and if there may be, they're just around the same time. But I believe that they will both offer great benefits for everyone.
Thank you. Next question is for Kalachuchi. Again, any position can answer. Many of you have listed your current leadership position and campaign materials. How can you ensure us that your ongoing obligations will not interfere with your performance as a batch council?
Can I answer this one?
Oh,
Go ahead.
with which one of us?
Sige, Ali, go.
All right. So 3, 2, 1. Okay. So personally, I do have my own personal commitments and a lot of extracurriculars, such as the recent PWSDC debate tournament that happened this weekend. But I think despite having to prepare a long time for this, a long time for that as well, we are able to put a lot of effort and the consideration into our GPOA and into our campaign materials. I think that alone, showing how much effort we're able to place during this campaign week and during our entire thought process in this entire endeavor, I think that just goes to show you that yes, sure, we may have a lot of commitments, but that doesn't mean we're going to ignore you. It doesn't mean we're going to ignore our responsibilities. We will still take into consideration our responsibilities as the batch council, despite all of the other things that are compounding on us. So we will always prioritize you, the people, despite all of our other commitments. And we think we're still able to perform no matter what. Thank you.
Could I also answer this question?
Okay, your time starts now.
As mentioned in my campaign video, I operate on passion. This means that everything that I do are things that I love to do, and these are not things that I do just because the opportunity looks sexy to me. This means that when I want to do something, I will stop at nothing to do it. This can be easily seen in my previous experience with the fair committee, and from here you can see that we're about to do something that has never been done before, which is an online fair open to the entire Philippine Science High School campus system. So with this said, you can see that I really will not stop at nothing to ensure that the things that I want to achieve are achieved. And even if I have all of these commitments lined up for me, this does make me unavailable. This makes me not available 24/7, but does it make me less competent? No, it does not. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Next, we have a question for the secretary of both parties. Since college admissions are a crucial topic in our batch, what can your party do to help improve awareness in college options and help our batchmates make their choice? Who wants to answer first?
First. I'll go first since Raisa just answered. Para ma-cool down naman siya.
Okay. Your time starts now.
Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, the project that I'm actually really excited about is a college fair, an online college fair. So by inviting alumni to speak and represent schools and be in breakout rooms, we want it to be like more accessible. Yung pag kasi these stories, these college applications, they directly come from the students who experience these themselves. So I hope na yung program it like lasts for like 3 days or so, and then they like we even envision like college worksheets and then master list of like specialization courses of these colleges. So we don't want it like we want it to be more accessible, so that since there are a lot of intimidating things about college, we want to make college feel less intimidating by breaking those barriers down.
Okay, thank you. Once again, the question is, since college admissions are a crucial topic in our batch, what can your party do to help improve awareness in college options and help our batchmates make their choice? Your time starts now.
So for the first aspect of our GPOA, we talk about connection. In terms of college applications, we plan to directly be involved with the plans of the guidance and counseling unit. So as mentioned earlier, this looks like sitting in any of their meetings and talking with them with regard to their plans for our batch. With that said, in terms of college, since the GCU already has pre-existing events for these college fairs, we can simply collaborate with them to ensure that the information gets to the batch better and faster. By this, we encourage our batchmates to directly involve themselves better into the community that PSI has to offer. And since one of the crucial aspects in our batch right now is this connection, through this, we hope that the batch can feel closer to our guidance counseling unit, which in turn will create a sort of domino effect so that the batch will feel a bit safer and closer to the guidance and counseling unit. TLDR, we're going to collaborate well with the GCU for these college administration things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question would be for the auditors of any party. What is the biggest challenge you can see yourself facing in the position, and what will you do to address it?
May I start?
Okay, your time starts now.
Usually there's this connected idea of being an auditor, and you don't really get to do much. And I know that sometimes you really have to stick with what our job description is. And I think sometimes that's difficult for us. Kasi, we still have to fulfill our major role. But yeah, sometimes you get held back by this. And I think the major challenge is going beyond this, doing more than what is written on paper. So I think, what we really have to do here is think of just serving the batch. And even if limited what is said to us is, I don't know, just review the papers of documents of financial reports. I think we have to do more than that. We have to step up, even if sometimes it's not our role. But of course, we have to respect who is assigned to that. Thank you.
May I also answer the question?
Your time starts now.
So I think the biggest thing about being an auditor is obviously finance, keeping the finances intact. But due to the pandemic existing and that not really be the primary role, I think right now my personal role in the party is to accommodate everyone else and help them out, because the batch council in and of itself isn't just one person, the president, and everyone else just following them. It's 5 people working together. So my goal in the batch council is to actually ensure that all of our projects are going smoothly, and that I need to make sure that everything in and of itself is also working out as well, because their projects, albeit it may be their individual responsibility, maybe it's the president's job to keep everything intact, to make sure the plans are going smoothly, but it's also my job as the auditor to make sure that is actually happening and that all of our programs are actually continuing on. So I think that alone is my main role, and I think that doing all of that is one of the hardest things that we have to accommodate for in an online setting.
Thank you for your answer. Next, we have a question for Kalachuchi, and once again, any position can answer. You've been talking heavily about your general plan of action. My question then is, what are the biggest roadblocks in your general plan of action, and how are you going to make sure that, in spite of those roadblocks, your plans will still come to fruition? So who will answer the question?
I can.
Okay, your time starts now.
If you've read our GPOA, we tried our best to be realistic. We told you that those batch hangouts, for example, won't always be something that every member of our batch would be interested in. Yeah, that's a roadblock that we're pretty much taking head on. Something that we won't that we won't shy away from. And the important thing there is that as long as we initiate these kinds of opportunities for socialization and de-stressing, we're already helping someone out there, someone who feels like they don't have a support system or like a couple of friends behind their back to hang out with, especially in times of feeling disconnected and demotivated. Those 5 people staying in a batch Discord, open arms with anybody to play along, would probably most likely help those kinds of people, right? And I think at that point we'll really incentivize more and more people to join and unite the batch in a sense. Yeah, that's it.
Anyone would like to add anything from Kalachuchi? Okay, we can go for the next question. This is for Risa, Kalachuchi's secretary. The question goes, Hi Risa, I just realized you already opened up about the plans of your fair. Shouldn't this be confidential to your fair committee? How do you expect your batchmate to trust you and the council if you yourself cannot follow your own directive? Thank you. Your time starts now.
Okay, as the fair committee head, there's one thing that I made clear to my constituents, and that's the specifics, specifically what's in store for the fair should be kept confidential. In the plans that I stated earlier, these things are no longer confidential given that they were already discussed with the related parties of the PSI community, such as the Division of Student Affairs and the parents. With that said, these plans were already out in the open, and that they're considered final, which means that they're not really on their wraps anymore. We're just waiting to see these plans into fruition through the efforts that have been prepared by our FERCOM members. With that said, this doesn't mean that I'm not following my own directive. I'm definitely following my own directive. I just know what sort of boundaries have been set for this directive. And if you'd like to clarify that, please talk with me. Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have another question for Kalachuchi, and it's for either the president or vice president or secretary. Given that 11-8's positions are incumbents, aside from your org/officer's experience, what is your selling point that could convince us to pick you over the candidates with perceived experience? So who will answer the question?
Hi, I can answer it again. Okay. Sawa na ba kayo sa akin? Joke lang.
Okay, your time starts now.
Okay, I think if you've read both of our GPOAs, okay, this might be controversial, but in my personal opinion, we were very thorough in our plan of action. I'd like to believe that we have a clear picture in mind of what we aim to do, and we've been able to address those kinds of roadblocks from the get-go. We were willing to admit that not everyone might be incentivized immediately, and that we will be patient in these kinds of things. Besides that kind of, becoming thorough in our GPOA, I'd say we're taking a more holistic approach in this, in that we're not solely sticking to experiences from our past leadership roles, but also through the problems that we see from the ground way up. This means that the issues that we detect in our own friend circles could be inspiration for future projects. And that's why I think it's really important to have a feel of what the batch needs currently so that you can have solutions that are relevant and appropriate. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. I think 11 can answer this question. The planning for one of the main events for the prom was started around last year, and I didn't see anything about it in any of your GPOAs. Do you have any plans for the prom committee, given that prom is one of the events from grade 11?
Hi, can I answer this despite you saying it's addressed to 11-8?
Yes. Okay, sure. Your time starts now.
So first of all, apologies since we weren't able to include supporting the prom committee in our GPOAs, given that we weren't entirely sure what went on with the plans from last school year. So if ever the prom committee wants to continue the plans that have been drafted up, we as the council will ensure that you get the right support that you need. And this can come in terms of any of the experiences that I have undertaken as the Faircom head with getting the first ever online fair approved. For example, this could look like negotiating with the DSA to see where it could be fit in and how the prom could be done. This could also look like communicating with the parents to ensure that there is enough funding to conduct the prom committee at the prom the prom event and further. Thank you.
Does anyone from 11 want to answer the question? Again, the planning for one of the main events for the prom was started around last year, and I didn't see anything about it and in any of your general plan of actions. Do you have any plans for the prom committee, given that prom is one of the main events for grade 11?
May I answer?
Go ahead. Your time starts now.
Okay. I think some of you may know that I myself am a part of the prom committee. And yes, my bad that we are very sorry that we didn't even include it in the GPOA or SPOA. But even though it wasn't included, it's not something that we would really just set aside, because really it's a very important event too. I believe that it is a very important event too. So even if we didn't include it, that doesn't mean that we won't let it happen. Again, we want to communicate with everyone, and we want to communicate with our committees. So we will open doors for the prom committee because we think that this is a very relevant. Well, I believe that this is a relevant event, and I think we can get something from this. So yes, it's not in a GPOA, but we will make sure that it would happen. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. Next, we have a question for any party and any position. Both parties have heavily emphasized on communications and batch unity as a major impact. What do you plan to do in order to incentivize and make the batch interested in attending things like hangout sessions?
Can I take this?
Okay,
Ako na, eh.
your time starts now.
We understand that a lot of people would be discouraged to join programs, especially if they have a bigger audience or if they're burdened still with their requirements. But our plan to keep the hangouts casual and have a schedule throughout the months, we hope that this would be an incentive enough for our batchmates to participate whenever they feel ready and that they can have an easier time interacting with people as there's only 10 to 15 people in each room. We also plan to have different activities per hangout, which can hopefully attract different people from different friend groups, hobbies, fandoms, and the like. Again, our priority is batch unity as well as student wellness. And with this, we hope that the people can enjoy their time with each other and feel safe while interacting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also answered.
Okay, your time starts now.
Okay. One of the batch activities that we thought of was a hybrid of a SIP scale activity, which with simultaneous hangout at the same time. So that's an incentive because I noticed that a lot of clubs or blocks or individuals don't have as much avenue to express their creativity or whatever plans like they have, from dancing, from singing, from I don't know, debating. And I think like these opportunities to be able to be hang out at the same and also an SIP scale opportunity at the same time. We hope to combine these and through this combination become an incentive to for participation from everyone. Thank you.
Can I also answer?
Okay, you have 1 minute. Your time starts now.
So I think the most problematic thing with a lot of the activities that are being made both by the SC and previous batch council was that they made it a super mandatory, which made it super uncomfortable to even participate in the first place. So I think the key difference that we want to propose is to make it less about getting grades and more about just having fun in general. So in that, I think that's the key difference that we do have compared to everything else, because we're not telling you that you need to go. It's just, okay, we're offering you the opportunity to, if you want to reach out, that's cool. You can talk to your friends, you can talk to other friend groups and interact with them. I think that's important to have in high school in general. And it's really sad that it's not happening right now due to the pandemic. So I think that alone is enough incentive to get people to join. I don't think you need to make it scale or SIP related, because I think it just adds needlessly more. I think that adds like a bit. It adds a bit more stress in making it required as well. Just like the surveys as well before, So, it's more appealing if we make it a lot more casual, and that appeal is unique to us.
Thank you. Next question is for 11th. Any position can answer this question. Given that a lot of your plans hinge on helping the batch, what are your opinions on the state of the batch right now, both in terms of academics as well as in terms of general welfare? This
Can I
question is
answer?
for, okay, your time starts now.
Well, since as an online learner, I have to admit that I don't really know the batch as a whole. There's a lot of people that I am not close with or acquainted with. But for the state of the batch right now, I'm really hoping that we not look to the where we are right now, but we look to the future. And for any party who's running, we really hope to really bring the batch together, united, in helping each other out through our own projects and opportunities such as hangout sessions or even the academic committee with the reviewers and helping each other out for SIP scale activities. So I think right now we should not be focusing on the state of the batch right now, but how to improve the batch in the future. Thank you.
May I also add?
Okay, your time starts now.
Coming from being your SC auditor last year, we made the EOY survey and found out that there were maraming kailangan baguhin sa system in terms of academics and student welfare. Now, our party aims to address those problems by making programs that can hopefully help the batch and forming committees to help in the batch. Ngayon, I think na in terms of academics, kasi yun yung masasagot ko, I think we need to coordinate, kailangan natin ng taga-coordinate talaga ng skill and SAP opportunities since these are, ito yung parang kailangan natin sa grade 11 since these are requirements for graduation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Unfortunately, that will be our last question for the open forum.
For ending reminders, thank you for your support and cooperation. Elections will be held next week, so don't forget to vote wisely.
Thank you once again, and this concludes this year's Miting de Avance.
Thank you, everyone, and good luck to all our candidates. Thank you so much, Science Scholar and Lagablab, for helping us in the hosting for today. Thank you also to our candidates for gracing this occasion, and to the rest of Batch 2023. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.